Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you who've joined the webinar already. I expect that a number of other people will join in as well, but we can go ahead and get started here. Today's webinar is Kanban in Procurement, a webinar with Clarinha Prado, brought to you by SwiftKanban from Digite. And I will be going through a bit of introductions and housekeeping in a minute. The agenda for the webinar today is that we will, of course, go through the introductions and a quick word about Digite and SwiftKanban, just for some of you who may not be familiar with what we do. And then I will be handing over the microphone to Clarinha, and she will take us through the case study about her experience with Kanban in procurement as a business analysis tool. We hope to do a good Q&A session after that, and if there is time left, perhaps we will also do a quick overview of the SwiftKanban tool for those of you who might be interested. With that, before I get into introductions, just a little bit of housekeeping. We will take questions. We hope that we get a number of questions from you who are potentially evaluating Kanban or using Kanban in different business functions, perhaps even in procurement. We will take them through the Q&A box that you should see on the right side panel on your screens. And feel free to ask us the questions anytime. We will take the questions at the end of the presentation by Clarinha. And also the webinar is being recorded, and we will provide you a copy of the slides as well as the link to the recording once these are ready to be shared. So Clarinha is a consultant in business analysis and information technology. My name is Mahesh Singh. I'm co-founder and Senior Vice President of Product at Digite, and I'll be your host for this webinar. So a little bit of introduction to Clarinha. She's, as I just said, a consultant, and she has a lot of experience in business analysis and information technology. Over 20 years in companies in different departments of the company, mainly in the financial sector. She's graduated in computer engineering with a postgraduate studies in business administration. We met Clarinha some time ago when she contacted us for an evaluation of multiple tools for a Kanban-based implementation of the purchasing function. This was at Poiesis, which is a non-governmental organization in Brazil. Our professional services team worked with her on understanding the requirements, and together with her, we were able to arrive at a couple of alternate approaches to implement the purchasing process. And that is how we got to know her. Once she finished her assignment at Poiesis, the case study that came out of it was of tremendous interest. We have already blogged about it, etc. And we thought this was a great opportunity for having Clarinha directly talk to our audience and tell her about her experience, not just with SwiftKanban, but in general about how Kanban can be used as a business analysis tool for procurement and other business functions. I will hand over the mic to her in just a bit. A quick introduction to Digite and SwiftKanban. So we've been a pioneer in web-based collaboration tools, tools for project management, software development, process governance, etc. Primarily focused at helping geographically distributed teams, whether you are in the same building or you're in the same country or across the world. You can use our tools for managing a variety of your business functions. We're headquartered in Cupertino, California. We have over 300,000 users across the globe using our products that cover Lean Kanban, Agile, ALM, project portfolio management. And of course, SwiftKanban is our flagship Lean Kanban product. Just a quick look at how SwiftKanban looks like. Some of you may be already familiar with this, some of you may not be. And the SwiftKanban is being used by our customers in a variety of different functions, whether it is software development or general business functions like marketing, or as Clarinha will talk to you about today, about procurement, staffing, recruitment, sales, a variety of different functions. And also for personal Kanban. So you could be doing party planning or your kids' homework or just regular chores at work using SwiftKanban, and it gives you that capability to visualize whatever be your process and to be able to manage it and improve it as you start to use Kanban. For those of you interested, we'd certainly love to hear from you. but anyway, we'll go on with the webinar, and hopefully at the end of that, you might have some questions for us. We can take those. Digital provides a pretty full stack of products in the Agile ALM space, and we have, again have a number of different capabilities that are available for you to look at should you be interested. And finally, a quick look at our customers, just to give you a sense of the kind of organizations that are using our products. And as you can see, we have a fairly wide range of companies around the world that are using our tools. So with that, before I go on to handing over the microphone to Clarinha, we want to just show you a couple of quick questions, polls that we'd like to show you, and if you can respond to them, it would give Clarinha and I a little bit of an idea of what who's our audience today, and what is your interest level in Kanban or your involvement in Kanban. So could we have the poll show up here, please? All right, so the first one is up there. We'll give you a few seconds to respond to that. Are you or anyone in your organization currently using Kanban and in different functions, as you can see there? All right, and maybe we can close it out. So there you go, Clarinha. I don't know if you can see this, but roughly about 60% of our audience today is in IT and application software development. 0% in procurement. So Clarinha, you have a green field here to talk about the use of Kanban in procurement, and hopefully help people use Kanban for procurement. Sales and marketing, you have about 8%. Other business functions, 20%. And so far not used Kanban at all in any function is 28%. Great. And also we'll just go ahead and show you one more poll right here, and that is just to understand what's your function in the organization. So let's just go ahead and take that as well. So we just want to understand what is your role, what's your function in the organization. So if we could just quickly respond to this poll as well, that would help. All right, and let's close it out. All right, for some reason it's taking time for the poll to show up on my screen, but let me go ahead and tell you it's about 80% is in IT, 4% in ops, 4% for, okay, so we do say we do have at least 4% of the audience today who are in the procurement function, and so hopefully you will really find this webinar useful. Sales and marketing 4%, and others another 8%. So that's great. With that, let me go ahead and make Clarinha here the presenter, and we will start from,
I'm back. In our case study, we show a Kanban application that's not related to anything about application lifecycle management or information technology. The message is, if you have a process, so probably Kanban can help you to manage that process. I work at Gigante Consulting, and this presentation refers to one of our projects where we worked to improve the procurement process of one of our customers. The goal of this presentation is to show how we promoted the use of Kanban to improve the business process, which was without visibility, without performance indicators, and needing a lot of management improvements. Our client is Poiesis, a culture institute, and we're going to talk a little bit more ahead. The roadmap I prepared to guide us through this case study is this. First, we are going to introduce our customer, talking a little bit about the company and specifically about the procurement area or purchasing area and the process. Then, we're going to talk about the problems faced by the department, which motivated them to seek our help for business improvement. The suggested solution, well, it's not the aim of this presentation to describe the business analysis we performed, but we're going to focus on the proposal of the Kanban, which was only one of several recommendations we've made. Finally, we will tell you how it was implementing the Kanban in the company, what were the stages of the implementation, the main challenges, the obtained results, and in closing, we will talk about some conclusions and recommendations about this work. Before we start, let's talk a little bit about the scenario where the project was developed. Our company and customer stay in Brazil, South America, in the state of São Paulo, the most populous state of Brazil that has more than 43 million inhabitants. Our customer is the company Poiesis. It is a non-governmental organization that promotes educational and socio-cultural development through the management of cultural spaces. Cultural space would be a museum, a art school, libraries, this kind of thing. The focus of our customer is to manage the cultural spaces, the activities related to culture such as concerts, workshops, training, art exhibitions don't take place at Poiesis. They take place in the cultural spaces it manages. This company receives money from the state government and distributes these resources among the units, the cultural units. They're also responsible for the maintenance of the units such as reforms, salaries, business as usual. Poiesis manages 21 cultural workshops scattered around the states, 5 culture factories located in poor neighborhoods of São Paulo, 2 museums, the Soccer Museum and the Portuguese Language Museum, and 1 reading space. It is a space where happen to stimulate reading activities. And these units are like branches of a company managed by the headquarters. The Procurement Department. It is responsible for making all the purchase and services contracts to the cultural units. The department handles a wide variety of goods and services. They can buy from a simple pencil to a very expensive piano. They contract security services, assembly stages, medical coverage for events, anyway, a very large diversity of goods and services. The purchasing department belongs to the administrative management and has 1 manager, 5 buyers, and 1 intern. There is no specialization of functions. Any buyer can purchase any goods or services, and the manager is responsible to distribute the orders among the buyers. Now the process. Let's talk about the process. It's very important for the Kanban modeling, right? The process begins with the receipt of a purchase request coming from a cultural unit. Upon receiving the request, the purchasing manager decides which buyer shall be responsible for answering this request. This is a very tested decision based on buyer expertise, workload, urgency, type of purchase. After the buyer is set, begins the quotation phase. For every purchase, they have to perform the quotation with at least 3 different suppliers. And the type of quotation, the quotation rules, depends on the type of product that is being requested. The quotation for office supplies, for example, is different from hiring security services. Once finished the quotation phase, the buyer must collect the signatures with managers and directors. Some purchases require the preparation of an agreement, so it is an optional activity. When needed, there is a team that's responsible for validating the terms of the agreement and get the approvals. The purchase approval activity involves printing the purchase order or service order and submit the application to the supplier. The next activity is to wait for the delivery, which may take few days to months, depending on what they purchased. When the product or service is delivered, it starts the product validation phase to verify if what was delivered is actually what was ordered. Finally, a payment request is generated in the company's payment system and the process terminates. Finish this. Well, we were talking about the company, the procurement process, the procurement department, the problems they faced, and now I'm going to tell you that we performed a business analysis and we have suggested several actions to improve their process, and Kanban was only one of them. We proposed Kanban to increase the transparency of the procurement process, because the solicitants were complaining that they had no visibility what was going on with their purchases, requests, and to enable strategic management over acquisitions, because as procurement area didn't have an information system, they couldn't view all ongoing purchases. And without this information, it would be very hard to manage the area. Another goal was to control the flow of the purchases. With Kanban, it's very easy to control the workload of each buyer and the whole department. And finally, to optimize productivity quickly, because Kanban facilitates a lot the organization to work and prevents buyers to take more purchases than they are able to deal at the same time. The Kanban deployment was made in 2 steps. The first step was to set up a physical frame on the wall of the department and to introduce Kanban concepts to the team. And in the second phase, we chose a Kanban software to replace the physical frame and to generate the metrics. Let's talk about the first phase of the project. This phase began in May 2013 and lasted approximately 2 months. First, process modeling was made with the managers. Later, this was refined with the buyers team so they could participate of the modeling effort. We conducted a training on the concepts of Kanban and lean manufacturing to show a new way of working to them, where the purchase requisitions would be pulled by purchasers when they had availability and not pushed by the manager as previously occurred. And I must say you that the buyers just loved this new concept. there was a follow-up with daily meetings to perform adjustments within the framework and in the used materials. For mounting the physical board, we used the company available office supplies like brown paper, masking tape, post-it notes, and A4 sheets. This is the first image of the physical frame on the deployment day. The rows of this table represent the buyers, and the columns represent the activities of the procurement process we said before. We did a workshop to help buyers to put all the purchase process within the framework, and the Kanban proved being useful since the very first moment, showing important information that the team was completely unaware. For example, on the first day, we identified that some buyers were overwhelmed with more than 40 ongoing purchasing items, while others were with less than 10. As you can see, which buyer is overwhelmed here. No? I don't think you can read, but it's Amelia, the first buyer. She was with more than 40 items. And the employee who was with more than 40 items used to be located in another floor of the company, so the manager really had no idea of the volume of the work she was dealing with. This was the first change caused by the Kanban. Because of this fact, her workload was redistributed among the other buyers, and she was brought to the same room where the other buyers are located. So, staff overload. Another thing you notice at a first glance is the purchases profile. We defined that simple purchases would be represented by green cards, technical purchases by yellow cards, and urgent purchases by the orange cards. As you can see, who owns most urgent purchases? Exactly, Amelia again. She is with almost all the orange cards. So she's the one who is overloaded with regular purchases and urgent purchases, and this is what also has been fixed on the first day. In the picture, you can also see that the big volume of work consists of simple purchases, represented by the green cards. Another important thing that we identified are the process bottlenecks, which columns holds the bigger, the higher amount of cards. So we have two bottlenecks in this process: the quotation activity and the waiting for delivery activity. According to the theory of constraints of Goldratt, these are different kinds of bottlenecks. The quotation activity represents a bottleneck due to capacity constraint in research. In other words, the buyer that is the research has a limit on the amount of quotes that can perform simultaneously. There is a maximum number of quotes that he can perform. So this is the capacity constraint research. And the bottleneck in the other activity, that is waiting for delivery, is a different kind of bottleneck. It's a bottleneck due to a non-instant availability of a resource. In other words, the purchased good or service is not yet available, so the purchase cannot proceed to the end of the board. If the product that we bought was available at the very time of purchase, this bottleneck wouldn't exist. But we have to wait, as we have to wait several days until the product is delivered, this queue becomes a non-instant availability bottleneck. On the theory of constraints, and in the Kanban book from David Anderson, there are several actions that can be taken to eliminate or at least to reduce the impact of each of these bottlenecks. On quotation activity, for example, any change we made in the process to reduce the time of the quotation would improve the time of the purchase in the whole board. In the case of the activity waiting for delivery, sometimes it may seem that we have nothing to do to improve this because the delivery time depends on the supplier, don't depend on us. However, we could do something. For example, if we could favor suppliers which have smaller deadlines, we could improve the times of the whole board again, improving metrics such as cycle time, and lead time. So this kind of analysis, I'm giving just an example, it's only possible because we are looking at the process in the Kanban board. Otherwise, we could be investing effort, improving other activities that are not the problem, that are not the bottleneck. So Kanban shows you very easily where the problem is in your process. Next. At this stage, the physical Kanban, we could manually extract some metrics, but we reduced it to the minimum possible because the extraction was completely manual. Every week, I counted how many cards were in each cell of the table. And generated this chart showing the amount of cards and the WIP for each buyer. As you can see here, we can see the buyer that was overloaded, and the first 2 weeks you can see all the other buyers increasing the workload, so this buyer that was overloaded could reach the WIP provisionally fit. In this step, the buyer's creativity was fundamental. We have defined, for example, colored labels to indicate blocked purchases, grouped purchases, or some purchases that generates that break down in several others, and some purchases that were published in the site. Another idea that the team had was to use a stamp to facilitate and standardize the post-it filling. A simple and inexpensive idea. This is the last setting of the physical frame. It has changed a lot since the first setting. Each week we implemented improvements like the creation of the backlog and the grouping of some columns, creation of new columns, adjustments to the WIP. At first we planned to use a whiteboard for the physical Kanban, but we moved it to brown paper due to its availability in the enterprise. And it was better because the paper gives you more flexibility to increase the size of the board. The main challenges we faced at this stage were, one, fixing the frame and the cards. To fix the frame on the wall, it was a challenge because the frame was too big and too heavy, and I remember once it fell to the ground and messed up all the cards. It was a completely chaos. And to fix the cards on the board was also a problem because post-it sticks very well in a whiteboard, but its glue is very weak from brown paper. And sometimes some post-its fell onto the floor, which was extremely distressing for the team. Another challenge was to motivate the team to use the new tool because they already do a lot of bureaucratic work, and we were asking them to do a new thing. Naturally, there was also an effort to disseminate the concepts of lean production. For example, at first it was hard for some buyers to understand, to believe that it is more efficient to work with fewer continued purchases with a smaller WIP because this reduces the lost time with context switching. Manual generation of metrics is a challenge, no doubt. And the maintenance of the daily meeting, at least in the first 3 or 4 weeks, it was a challenge because the meeting was supposed to last only 15 minutes and they were taking 30, 40 minutes because the buyers were so enthusiastic about the news, and we had to correct this. The obtained results in this phase was that the team involvement in the proposed solution and their motivation to work this was a very gratifying resource, very gratifying result. The purchase requesters who came to look for their card on the board also felt a big change because now they could got the wanted visibility. Information sharing provided by the Kanban is also very good. Workload visualization, because the manager knew exactly what each of his employees was doing and could take managerial decisions based on that. And finally, even in the early stages, we already started to provide some metrics. And with all this organization, the number of complaints has reduced a lot. Now let's talk about the second phase. The second phase of deployment should have started immediately after the first, but it began 2 months late. The company stayed 2 months without any Kanban, neither physical nor virtual. The activities developed in this phase were the choice of a Kanban tool to replace the physical Kanban, the staff training on the chosen software, the importation of the cards in the tool, and the customization of the performance indicators. The first step was to look for Kanban tools available on the market and to look for some benchmark or comparative study developed by some research institutes like Gartner or Forrester. And this was very difficult because we didn't find any neutral studies. We had to perform our own benchmark. We can find only some articles in Gartner Forrester about ALM, not about Kanban, and some blogs or sites with listing some Kanban products, but not, I don't know if they are reliable evaluations, neutral evaluations. So we prepared the list, defined some criteria, and performed our own analysis. We picked a lot of famous Kanban tools. I don't know if I can say the name. This last column represents the SwiftKanban. It was the better rank, and we chose SwiftKanban. Some of the reasons that make us choose this tool were the possibility to customize the cards, the complete reports with possibility to export. The product documentation is very good. The support team response readiness, very good also, amazing. The cost, among other features. We chose the cloud solution because of the cost and ease of employment, ease of deployment. Here we see the picture of the procurement process created with SwiftKanban. We have created a training in Portuguese with several practical exercises to show users how easy it is to maintain to keep the board updated. Here we have another view of the same board. In this image, we were able to put on a single screen all the rows and columns of the table. Our goal with this was to output this stream on a LCD TV. One of the main benefits of this phase was the possibility of generating metrics. Some metrics were obtained directly from the SwiftKanban, and others were customize it in an Excel spreadsheet using SwiftKanban exported reports. Our client had almost no metrics, then it was of great value, the availability of these reports to help the area. In the first chart, for instance, we show how many cards were received in a month, how many of them were approved, how many were canceled, how many remained to be approved on the next month. Here we have a few more metrics. This third graphic in particular is very useful. It shows the buyer's productivity in the vertical bar versus the WIP. So the buyers who have the greater productivity, there must be the better WIP over there. And those with bigger WIPs must have low productivity. The main challenges of this phase were, first of all, the choice of the Kanban tool. As we already mentioned, we didn't find a comparative analysis of existing tools, so we had to make our own study. The 2 months that the project studied between the physical and the virtual Kanban, this made the team forget some concepts and lost motivation. It was a challenge. The team adaptation to the new system was a challenge, but only on the first 2 weeks, because it's very easy to use. The loss of the board visibility on the department wall was negative, because the people were used to come to the department to look at the wall and find their purchase item. Obtained results. Well, ongoing purchase is controlled by SwiftKanban. One of the main results was the available metrics. At the stage, we made available on the intranet a query with the cards to all the cultural units. This query consists of a web page that makes a call to a web service provided by SwiftKanban. So they lost visibility on the board, on the wall, but we provided another way that users can see the same information. Another result of this phase was the interest of other areas to start using the tool. Finally, our conclusions about this work. The main conclusions were that, well, Kanban is a solution that definitely helps to manage a business process. It promotes flow visualization that helps the manager to take important decisions as the distribution of work and prioritization of purchases. It's easy to adopt, deploy, to customize. Buyers easily learn to operate the Kanban. The cost is feasible. What else? It is a platform that can integrate with any ERP system in the future if this company starts to use one. Anyway, we recommend the solution, the Kanban for a business process, and the SwiftKanban as a platform for a virtual Kanban. I would like to thank you everyone for participating. My apologies for the technical problems, and I put myself at your disposal for any questions or comments.
Hey, Clarinha, thank you so much. I thought that was a great presentation, and I think I really like the way you bravely carried on in spite of all the technical issues. Really nice presentation. So let me start by commenting on some of the things. Of course, I've seen your presentation before, and I have read about what you had to say earlier. But still, hearing you present it, certainly puts a different perspective on it. I think the fascinating part for me was that just the visualization on the physical board initially helped you identify a couple of key things. One, that you had at least one buyer, I think Amelia was the name, who was terribly loaded, and the fact that she was in a separate building, that made it difficult for other people to understand that she was she was loaded so much. So that analysis and the visualization helped you identify that, and also to bring her into where everyone else was located, right?
Right.
I think that must have been an immediate impact on the morale of the overall buyers team, and of course on that person specifically.
Yes, immediately the manager was so surprised. I don't believe you have all these items at your table and you don't talk to me. So it was really changed, and the next day she was at the same floor that the rest of the team, and the bottlenecks also, because you know exactly where you should invest your efforts to improve the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you made an observation towards the second part of your presentation where you said that when you're showing the metrics that wherever you saw buyers with a higher WIP, they had lower productivity, and buyers that had low WIP had high productivity. That's again a complete validation of some of the sort of fundamental Kanban principles. Are you seeing that even today? Are you seeing that happen even today?
Well, I work at a consulting firm, so I'm working in another customer. But I think that must go back there in a few months, as I can try to find out that what's happening now. I just know that they had a lot of problems with. They had only 5 buyers, and one of them left the company. Another is not working because his hand is injured. So I know they are passing through a terrible moment. I don't know if they are keeping using, applying all the concepts we left to them to use Kanban to help them to pass this chaotic situation they are passing through right now.
Okay.
But that chart is very interesting because that chart could prove the concept that Kanban preached.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. I thought that was very.
Red suggested me team to put this chart in the next release in one of the releases of SwiftKanban. It would be very interesting too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We should take that as a very strong input from your side. So, Clarinha, a number of questions have come in from the audience, so let me just go ahead and ask as many of them as I can. So first of all, there's a question that were there individuals in the client organization that already had experience with Kanban? Were there people who were familiar with it and comfortable with the use of Kanban?
Sorry, could you repeat, please, Mahesh?
Yeah. The question is, were there any people in your client organization who were already familiar with Kanban or had experience with Kanban?
Oh, in the consulting firm?
And in the client, at your client, at Poiesis?
The client, no. The client, they are still using only in the procurement, and I think that the contracts area are starting using, and as they participate at the same process, I think they're going to use the same board, just including some new swim lanes or some new columns. But and I remember that I think that security area was interested. Matter of fact, when you see the board on the wall, everybody stopped to look and to admire and to think if it's could be useful in their areas. But effectively, I think that it's only procurement area and the contracts area that is going to start using. For now, only this.
Okay, now that makes sense. The fact that everybody could come and take a look at it and you know, get an overall picture based on that certainly helps initially when you're implementing a Kanban system. There's a related.
The maintenance area is interested to use. I left them a card, but I'm still waiting for them to contact us.
Okay. Excellent. Hopefully you get that opportunity. A related question here, that perhaps a simple workflow like the one that you showed, that this might make sense. The Kanban use of Kanban might make sense. But why did you also consider perhaps a BPMS solution, a business process management tool, a BPM tool to solve this problem? Or was Kanban the only?
I think the BPM could work integrated with the Kanban, because in the BPM, remember, each activity of the procurement process, you have to enter some information, to consult some information. So a BPM tool could help to do this, could provide a form to each one of that process activities, and I can fill the form. To buy this pencil, I have 3 suppliers, the name of the suppliers, the telephone number. So a BPM could really provide a form with information for each activity. But the visualization of the volume and the flow, the workload of the area in only one single screen, I don't think that BPM could do that. Kanban is, in my opinion, Kanban is really the best way to visualize the workload of your area that your area is working with in only a single screen. But I really see that the benefits of using a BPM, and a BPM tool could work integrated with SwiftKanban through web services. Every time you finish an activity, your BPM system could call a web service from SwiftKanban demanding the card to move to the next column. So in your panel, imagine your LCD TV, you would see the card being moved, but not by a person interaction, by a BPM system interaction. I think this would be a very good solution.
That makes a lot of sense. And in fact, we have our integration bus is called SwiftSync that integrates with a variety of different tools, which allows SwiftKanban to visualize the work that's being done in those tools. I'm not quite sure whether we have a BPM tool in our portfolio of out-of-the-box tools, but we certainly have a large number of other tools that integrate with the Kanban board for exactly what you just described, to make the work visual and for for just a better understanding of the overall process. There's another question. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No.
All right. I was going to say, just another question that has come up is that how long did it take? And I'm sort of paraphrasing the question here. Did the collaboration improve as the WIP limits decreased? As the load on the team decreased, did the overall collaboration between the team improve? Did you see that?
Oh, the collaboration among the buyers?
Yes, or in the entire process, I guess.
Yes. Oh, it was amazing because they were used to work at their own desks without talking very much with each other. And with the daily meeting, it's something that you also see in Scrum and Agile methodologies. The daily meeting is fantastic because in 15 minutes you can expose your problems and everybody's listening to you and can give you tips and help, and everybody collaborates to suggest improvements to the process. So the Kanban really, how can I say, incentivates this kind of things. And the Kanban at the board it's better than at the screen, but you can project the image at the wall. But the collaboration improved because of the daily meetings in front of the Kanban.
So I missed that part, Clarinha. So do you now have a large electronic screen at this point? Or do you know if the client has a large electronic display?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right. So
but I can check. But it was very was being very hard to convince the director to buy an LCD. And since they're dealing with government money to provide culture to poor people, I don't know, it makes sense to save money. I don't know if they could buy the TV.
I certainly hope so, because there is, of course, I mean, the prices of these devices have dropped, and there is a lot of interesting technology, especially touchscreen technology, that really helps in having teams stand in front of large displays and discuss this. We have a number of clients who do that, and it just makes that entire collaboration process and the interaction between the team so much easier. So